Esse nigga comigo de começar por telefone, porque eu não fiz nada. Esse nigga comigo de começar por telefone, porque eu não fiz
What's up? What up, what up, what up? How you doing, everybody? Yo. Hey, man. Welcome. Drop me a comment so I know who's in here. See, a few people just joined. And, hey, what's up? Lost Soul. What up, Jay's Music? Is it Tania? Great. What's up? Ghost, what's up? Let me get my little configuration going here. Let me get my, man, there's this video that I was watching on YouTube. I'm gonna have to add it to my watch later. I'm gonna put on some background music real quick. And throw my little playlist on, and then we can get to talking about investing in real estate. All right, so appreciate you guys joining me. Happy Easter to everybody, and welcome. This is my first live stream on Real Estate 101. Most of my live streams on Will Motivation are pretty popular. So this is my first time doing it on Real Estate 101. But the reason why I'm doing it is because a lot of people send me private messages on Instagram or email me, and they ask me to call them, or they ask me to mentor them and stuff like that. And I got kids, you know what I'm saying? I got 3 businesses. I'm super busy, and I'm always behind on something. So there's always some work waiting for me. So for me to make time to mentor every single person that asks me to mentor them is just not realistic. But I can do these live streams, and I can answer questions for anybody that has questions related to real estate. I'll try to answer them. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm doing right now. Abdul said, "Will I ever revert back to Islam?" I've never been Islam, and I don't know anything much about Islam, so not sure where that question came from. But anyway, Joe, so if you guys want to just start shooting questions at me, man, while I get things set up, then I'll start answering questions related to investing in real estate. If you did not know already, this channel is dedicated to my videos related to investing in real estate. So I have a whole bunch of videos lined up to release on this channel. And so, you know, if you're subscribed to this channel, then look out. Like, I got a bunch of good content coming. And as you guys probably know, I have released my online real estate course. So if you want to take that, you're welcome to take it. I'll drop the link in here. Yo, what's up, Axum? What's up, brother? Hey, good to hear from you, man. Let's talk. Let's talk. All right. So Floyd Henderson said, what is a first tax lien? Yo, so let me tell you, bro, I don't, from an investment perspective, I have never done tax lien like deals, you know, or tax lien buys and that kind of thing. So I'm not really an expert on that. I'm an expert on good old fashioned rental property development, buy and hold, rehabs, and flips. That's what I specialize in, which are the most common ways to make, you know, a lot of money. But I do know some people that have done tax lien, and from what I understand, basically, if you don't pay your taxes Like, let's say you got a property and you don't pay your taxes on that property, then the local government can put a tax lien on your property, which means if you don't pay, if you go for a certain amount of time without paying your taxes, then somebody else can buy that property or buy that lien on the property and pay it, and then they own the rights to that lien on your property, and potentially can take the property after a certain amount of time. And they can get a hold of property like that because people don't pay their taxes in some situations. So, some investors have bought these tax liens by paying off the taxes on properties, and then, owning the lien on the property, and then potentially getting the property because, once somebody abandons that house or a certain amount of time passes, I'm not sure what those rules are when they get to take possession of the property. But if they own that tax lien because they bought it from that local government, then they'll be the first ones in line to get that property. And so a lot of times people have been able to get properties for really cheap because they buy the properties through what's called a tax lien. All right. So a lien on a property is basically somebody goes to the court, says you as a property owner owe them money. It can be tax money. It can be a variety of things. I had a local property management company file a lawsuit against me over a couple $100 because they didn't get their paperwork right and was sending the bill to the wrong address. And we had a dispute about it, but they went to court and they put a lien on my properties, a couple of my properties. It didn't make any sense to me, but they put liens on my properties because we had a dispute in court. And so I'm like fighting them about that now. It's just crazy, man. The property management company. But anyway, you get a lien on the property, and then somebody can basically say you owe them money, and you can't sell the property without taking care of the lien or else it'll go to the new buyer, and the new buyer is not usually going to have that. That's what title companies are responsible for taking care of. All right. So anyway, that's the answer to that first question. What are tax liens and that kind of thing? So some investors, they look for those tax liens and they buy them. And basically, the government wants their money. They want their tax money. And it's a way for you potentially get a property, but it's not guaranteed. All right. So what else we got? Sky Investments. What's going on, bro? Um, we got is it just relying from my six-figure job because I acquired enough real estate to go full time? I'm always open to look for another income stream. Thanks for the push. Yeah, man. Congratulations, Sky Investments. Just went full time from a six-figure job. Like, and my situation is a little bit different because I started investing in real estate after I had already started two other businesses. So I never had the ambition to go full time as a full time real estate investor. My ambition was let me diversify my revenue and income streams. So I have different types of businesses bringing me money. And one of those businesses is a real estate investment business that owns 20 some properties. I do flips with it, and it just brings in income from that. So I never really had the ambition to do real estate full time. But I've had when it was hot and heavy for me a couple 3 years ago, I was doing it almost as much as my main business. But I usually give whatever business is making the most money, that's the business I give the most attention. So real estate does not yet make more money for me than my other .com business. But real estate has been the reason why I can do a lot of things that I could not do before. You know what I'm saying? And justify some things that I couldn't justify before. So shout out to you, man. Wish you the best of luck with that. If I can ever help you, just ask questions, bro. And like I said, I don't know everything, but I have some pretty good experience over the years. All right. All right. So let's see here. Let me see here real quick. So I just had to put a user in timeout for just blabbing on stuff. All right, so here we go. What's up, Daily Driven H2? Welcome to the channel. If you guys are not familiar with Daily Driven H2, he runs a YouTube channel Make sure you go check him out. He's actually privy to some insider information. Hey, let me see who I have in here. Hit the thumbs up for me. That way the video will get promoted to other people. And then if I know who's in here, I want to share some top secret information with you guys that are also familiar with will motivation as well as the real estate channel. So I'm gonna give you guys some secret information because you guys took the time out to subscribe to Real Estate 101 that I'm not yet sharing on the Will Motivation channel. All right. So if you haven't said what's up, say what's up in the chat, ask me a question, and then before this chat is over, I'm going to share with you guys some insider information. And Daily Driven H2, he knows what I'm talking about because we actually we got a couple of channel cards coming to Will Motivation already lined up. All right, so Ghost asked a question directed at Sky Investments. Where do you start? I'm not old enough to officially start, but I want to know exactly what to do when I'm able to do. Ghost, you're in the right place, man. You are surrounding yourself with people that are trying to learn about how to invest in real estate. And what you need to do to get started, just like everybody else who has not started yet investing in real estate, and even those who have started, is continue to soak up knowledge and information and learn things, and then ask questions about what you do not know about. Like, for example, why would you do a flip versus why you would do a rental property? Or what is wholesaling, for example? A lot of people are talking about wholesaling as a way to get involved investing in real estate. Just soak up knowledge so that when you are ready to invest and you have your source of funding covered, where you're gonna get the money from, and you can start looking at properties, and then you can start pulling the trigger on properties. And actually, you may think you're too young to get started, but you might not be too young to get started, because if you know how to find deals, you can make money. You know how to find deals and evaluate deals and know, like, that's the basic. Like, if you want to learn anything from today's live stream, the basics is this. In order to be a successful real estate investor, the number one thing that you need to know how to do is evaluate a deal or a property to know if it's a good investment or not, based on the time that you want to buy it. That is the number one thing that I'm going to share with you today. Whether you ask that question or not, you need to know how to evaluate a deal. Now, I go into depth about how to evaluate deals in my online course, but I'm willing to touch on it now if anybody wants to hear about it. But if you can't evaluate a deal to know if a deal is good or not, you're not ready to start investing. So there you go. All right. So Lost Soul said, "Hey Will, my question is, I have a total of 4 investment properties, and I have one with a very high back tax bill. My question is, what are the options with my credit taking a dip?" Well, if it's tax related, to my knowledge, that won't affect your credit, um, unless unless there's a judgment like made against you. Then sometimes those judgments, like if you have a public court record that says there's a judgment against you for a certain amount of money, then like TransUnion, which is one of the 3 credit bureaus, sometimes they'll pick that stuff up and they'll put it on your credit report. All right, but not all the time, and not all the time when they pass like a judgment against you in court for some amount of money. All right, so that doesn't always happen. If that does not happen, then your credit is probably not going to be affected by the back taxes. Matter of fact, I haven't heard of that affecting anybody. But if your mortgage is late, then your credit definitely can and most likely will be affected, because the banks that hold those mortgages on your properties will report to the credit bureaus. All right, but I'm not sure. I would just try to make arrangements to take care of, even if it's little by little, so that you don't have like a judgment against you or a tax lien against you or something like that. But I'm not sure that tax related, those back taxes necessarily will give you a hit on your credit report. But if you go bad on your mortgages, then that's probably gonna hit your credit. All right, bro. All right. Floyd Henderson said, "How do you buy abandoned properties. All right, man. So let me get loose in here, man. It's getting warm. Hold on a second. It's getting warm in here, and I got this sweater on. I got my Easter clothes on, and with this sweater, and it's getting warm. All right, all right. Let's go. So, um, we're talking about how do you buy abandoned properties. Now, you buy abandoned properties just like you would buy any other kind of property. The difference is with an abandoned property, it might be a little bit harder to figure out who's the owner of the property. So what you have to do is you have to do some research. Like you have to go through public records or public information, usually on the county auditor website for whatever county you're in. And what you do is you want to find out who the owner of the property is, and then figure out how to reach out to them. And sometimes, a lot of times with abandoned properties, if it's a really old property and a really old owner, they might not have a mortgage on it. So there might not be a bank listed as an owner to that property. It might just be a person. But usually you can find who the owner is and an address on where you can send them a letter. Because usually there's an address related to where they receive their bill for taxes. So what you can do on your county auditor website, usually, or with your county auditor, who basically keeps track of all of the property and who owns it and who pays taxes on it and what the status is, you can find out who owns the property, and you can get a mailing address, and you can send them a letter, and you can make an offer to have them call you back to discuss a deal, to find out the status. Or the other thing you can do, if you have a good realtor, like if you got a real hound dog realtor that's real hungry to help you find investment properties and get a commission, then a realtor sometimes will have tricks of the trade on how they can get in touch with a potential owner, and they might even do that for you if you buy the property through them, because they're going to get a commission on that deal. All right. So those are the two ways I would recommend if you want to buy an abandoned property. But it's just like any other property that might not have a for sale sign in the front yard. If you got a for sale sign in the front yard, it's easy. You just call the number on the for sale sign, and it's either going to be a for sale by owner, or it's going to be a real estate agent, and you call them and you discuss an offer. You check out the crib. But if it's an abandoned house with no sign in the front, then you're going to have to do a little bit more research to figure out who owns the property and then send them a letter. Sometimes you can look them up by phone. Like I've had people call me about my properties on the phone. I don't know how they got my phone number, man, but they were doing some research major, and they found me and they were talking about buying my properties. But I was just like, I'm an investor too, so get lost. um, all right, Floyd, that's the answer to that question, bro. Welcome everybody who just kind of like logged into the live stream, man. We're answering questions. I'm gonna call this a mentoring session because a lot of people ask me to mentor them, and when I make time to mentor somebody that's not my kids, then it's just gonna be an open, shared mentoring session like this in a live stream, because I'm always super busy, and I really can't justify one-on-one mentoring as many people that ask me that. So this is how I'm going to do it. So you guys feel free to ask me questions, and I'll do my best to answer all of the questions. And let's go. All right. So that I just got done answering Floyd's questions about buying an abandoned property. Jay's Music said, "Have you invested in California, or would you agree that the market is kind of crazy?" Yeah, it's crazy out there, especially compared to the East Coast. Well, I'm not even gonna say the East Coast, the Midwest where I am. Bringing a little grape juice, trying to get some energy. Um, yeah, the thing about the California market is the cost of a house is significantly higher on average than a lot of other places throughout the country. So me personally, if I was in California and I was trying to look to invest, I would be probably looking at doing flips as opposed to acquiring a bunch of rentals, because the mortgages would be so high that I would be afraid that it would be difficult to turn a profit high enough on a monthly basis to really, stay safe. Because like, let's say the mortgage might be so high, if somebody trashes your house and they're a tenant and then they move out and you got 2 months, you got to fix the house up, that could take away all the profit that you made. If they were in there for 9 or 10 months or whatever. The other thing is, I would, like I said, I'd be looking at flips, man, because you can buy a house out there. It's going to be expensive, so you don't want to hold it for that long. In my scenario, I wouldn't want to hold it that long. What I'll do is buy it, fix it up, and try to turn a significant profit on it. And what I've seen out there in that market is you might be able to make more money on your flips, from a dollar perspective, not from a percentage perspective necessarily, but from a dollar perspective, you can make a lot of money with flips out there in that market. But if it was me, I'll be looking at flips out there, or that might even be too expensive. I would be looking at neighboring cities, where the prices might be lower, but within driving distance where I can go check on things. Or I would even look outside of the state into places like Las Vegas or neighboring states where the real estate is cheaper. But I could drive over there and check things out, check out the market, make sure I understood the market, and take my money and invest in maybe other locations where it's a little bit more affordable. So that's what I would do personally, unless I had some good banking relationships where I could take advantage of buying some real estate in California. But it's like you said, it's pretty crazy out there. It's different. It's different and unique out there. But there's ways to make money in all different market scenarios usually. All right. So thanks everybody for joining so far. We got 22 people on this live stream. We got 14 thumbs up. So if you would hit the thumbs up with a like button on this live stream, and that way as many people as YouTube is going to be nice enough to send this to will hear about it when you hit the thumbs up. All right. So we got 16 thumbs up, 22 people. So you guys if you guys want to support this live stream, hit the thumbs up for me, and then I'm going to look for the next question. All right, let's see. So the next question or comment was Sky Investments. And what's up, Gone Postal? What's up, bro? Sky Investments, I acquired a couple of properties from tax deed sales. I do have a story to tell. Soon enough, I will set up my channel. I've been quiet because I didn't get divorced yet. I feel you. And you probably smart to do that, bro. So yeah, we'll wait on that story, man. But yeah, tax deed sales. I'm not an expert on that. I haven't really done that, but happy to hear from some people who have. All right. What's up, Flooring Professional, man? Welcome to the live stream. And yo, I'm looking for the next question here. So you guys got questions, make sure you ask them. Okay, so somebody asked me, Steesley, what's up, bro? He said, what's the latest on the Medellin real estate investment? You did a video a few months back. Not sure if you purchased it or not. Okay, so great question. What am I doing in Colombia as far as investing? Man, that's a really good question. Right now, as of right now, I'm not doing anything because from what I'm seeing in Colombia, I have to study the market. Like, I'm not going to jump in with that, like the money that, so that particular, so for those of you guys who did not see the video that I posted, I was in Medellin, Colombia, which is one of the largest, most major healthy cities and economies in South America, Medellin, Colombia. My brother lives there, so I'm familiar with it. I've been there a bunch of times. And I was looking at a couple of apartments to potentially buy sort of an Airbnb apartment that I could use when I go down there. But then when I'm not there, I could rent it out like on Airbnb. So I looked at a few different properties, and for the money, in my opinion, the price of those properties was way higher for the square footage that you get. So for me, I was real tentative to to purchase in Medellin. So let me give you an example. I looked at a 1-bedroom apartment that had a really good let me turn this TV down. It had a really good location. And then I looked at a 2-bedroom that also had a good location, not as good as the 1-bedroom. But man, for those, there were little apartments with like a little living room, a kitchen, and like 1 bedroom, and maybe 1 or 2 bathrooms. And then the other one had 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. But those 2 little apartments, probably like 500 or 600 square feet, were 160 to 190,000 US dollars, which is crazy. Very, very high for a very small apartment. So I wasn't impressed by those prices. I was impressed by the location. I figured I could probably really rent the places out and that kind of thing. But the other thing that I was looking at was, okay, the price is high per square foot, and also how much money can I make in rent? Like, so what I was calculating was I could probably make anywhere from $70 to $100 max per night in rental income. And but the thing about that is, with an Airbnb, you're not gonna have your place rented out 30 days out of the month. You might be lucky to get 15 to 20 days out of a month. So I couldn't say, well, 30 days times $100, I'm gonna make $3,000 a month. That's not guaranteed with Airbnb. You might have some months where occupancy is really low. So it just didn't look like a really good investment at this point in time. Plus, even if it did look like a good investment, I don't know enough about the real estate economy for me to feel comfortable putting that much money into that market. I want to know. Nobody could show me so far a graph of like the history of the prices of real estate in Medellin or in Colombia. And until I see that, I'm not comfortable. I want to know, like, you can go on Zillow and you can see the price of real estate in any state. You can see what it looks like, how it's gone up and down over the years. But I couldn't find that for Medellin, which made me very uncomfortable. And everybody always talks about down there that it just constantly goes up. But I just, I feel like it's overpriced, and I don't know. I just wasn't comfortable with it. So that's like long story of what happened. I haven't bought anything there yet. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm not comfortable with where the prices are and that kind of thing. All right, so thanks for everybody that hit the thumbs up again. We got 21 thumbs up out of 24 people, so that's good. And that was the answer to what I've done in Medellin. I'm just looking right now, man. I may go back down there and do some more videos, look at some more property, but I gotta understand the market before I'm gonna put that much money into it. That's a lot of money to not know what's gonna happen with it. But I mean, the people down there, they'll tell you, like, they swear by their real estate down there. They say, it just constantly goes up. So we'll see. Might do something, man. But I'm not in a big rush to do that. All right, so let me go to the next question. All right, Yayo G35. Yayo G35. So he must be local to my market, Columbus. So what are your thoughts on buying real estate in Whitehall? I like Whitehall as a I like Whitehall. So Whitehall is it's like inside of Columbus. For those of you who are not familiar with the Columbus, Ohio real estate market, it's like a area inside. They have their own police department. It's like middle class or slightly lower middle class, and I like it. So like I looked at some investments over there. People are buying over there. The prices are kind of stagnant. They're not going like skyrocketing or anything like that. So I wouldn't look at that area so much for flips. But if I want to pick up a rental or two and I found some good deals like for rentals where the prices were good, then I would consider Whitehall as a good place to buy some rental properties and not lose a whole lot of money. If I did have to flip, I'd probably make a little bit of money, but you're not going to make a killing off of flips in Whitehall. But you could make a good amount of rental income in Whitehall. So I like Whitehall as a place. It's great because it's in Columbus. Columbus, you won't have too much problem if you have a nice clean place. you won't have too much of a problem finding renters for your place. So yeah, I think it's a good market. JG, what's up, bro? And Floyd Henderson said he's on his way to owning a super killer. That's what's up. Um, and let's see. Axum said, would you consider long distance rental as your first investment? Um, oh, would I consider a long distance rental as a first investment? Yeah, man, I would, especially if my local market was too expensive. But the thing about a long distance rental is you got to have a team in place that, like, I would have to meet them probably face to face, or they would have to have a really good reputation. And when I say a team, I'm talking about like who's going to do your repairs, who's going to represent you as a property manager, and who's going to represent you when you, as a realtor, when you buy the place, and your title company. So for that team, you got to have that team real strong and in place, and they got to be really have a good reputation, be trustworthy, because you get a bad property management company in there, they'll cheat you out of money by overcharging you for repairs and stuff like that, or not doing stuff right, or getting the wrong tenants in there, all kind of stuff like that. So you just got to have a real tight team that has a really good reputation. And if you have that, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, so you might not make as much profit every month, but it's doable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had property management managers here in Columbus that did a decent job. They started ripping me off for my repairs and like what I was paying for repairs and stuff like that. And in the end, I was real upset with them, and they were a bad company in the end. But while they had my rental, they did find good tenants, and they did handle everything for me. It's just that they was overcharging me, and in the end, they were bad. But you know, you can find a good company. You can find good property management companies. You just gotta look around. Mr. Jules 409. He said, I love how my real estate portfolio canceled out my tax bill and granted me a 12,000 tax return. Gotta love that depreciation. And so, yeah, real estate has saved me a lot, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. Period. Period. So yes, real estate. There's all types of tax incentives for owning real estate and write-offs and all kind of stuff. So Flooring Professional said, I live in Maryland. Is the market good here? Uh, yeah, I think it's all relative when you say is the market good here, because it could be expensive. But the people that are in the market are probably making money. I have no doubt. In Maryland, there's a lot of people in Maryland. There's a lot of need for housing in Maryland. There's a lot of people buying houses in Maryland, and there's a lot of people renting houses in Maryland. So you probably are in a good market, but it might be like California, because you're on the East Coast there, and depending on what city you're in, the property and the real estate could be expensive. That's the only downside. So it's kind of relative when you ask that question. Speedy said, how can I get into real estate with a low budget? Basically, man, the easy answer to that question is, the lower your budget is, basically less money you have to spend on a house. So you just have to look for houses that are within your budget. So, and then you want to make your money stretch as far as possible. So you want to look for loans and banks that will give you a loan for a mortgage for a house of a certain price range, that will give you, as much money with as little percentage as possible that you have to put towards the loan in order for you to get the house. All right. So you basically want to make your money stretch. And you have to start investigating banking relationships and types of loans, because there's a lot of different loan products out there, a lot of different banks out there, and different banks have different loan products and different programs that they can, that you can apply for to get money to buy a house. So you got to do your research on that. Like I said, in my course, I talk about all the different loan types, and I get into detail on some of that stuff. But if you have a small budget, man, you just look for small houses. But it's possible. Like, for example, I did a video where I bought a house that was, man, I bought like the cheapest house I ever bought was $25,000. So that means if I needed to get a bank to give me 80% of the money and I got a regular investor loan, then I would have had to have $5,000 and the bank would have gave me 20,000, and then I could have bought that house for $25,000. So it would have just took 5,000 out of my pocket, and then I would have had the house, but then I would have had to have money to fix it up, right? So I could put that on credit cards or whatever. Then I could have flipped it later, or I could have turned it into a rental. In my particular case, I bought that house with cash, and I turned it into a rental, and now that house that I bought for 25K is worth probably 110,000 or 115,000. So so you can do it, man. You gotta be looking. You gotta be aware and just know your market. Start having relationships with banks, if necessary, so you can get money from the banks. Make sure your credit is on point. The other thing you can do, like other than buying a property like that, is you can do wholesaling. Now, I'm not an expert on wholesaling, so I'm not gonna sit here and tell you all the things about wholesaling. You just gotta be careful and know what you're doing if you do wholesaling. All right, you gotta look into it, know what the legalities are in your particular city and state, and that might be a way. A lot of people who don't have money, that's what they do. The other thing you could do is you could get a private money lender, like a private person like myself, who's familiar with investing in real estate, and you could find a deal, and they can finance the entire deal. But when you deal with private people, they might have their own rules about how everything is going to work, and you're going to be subject to those rules because it's their money. But like, for example, if you found a deal, I'm in Columbus, Ohio. Let's say you found a deal in Columbus, Ohio. You say, hey, Will, I found this deal. Here's the numbers on it. I'll run the rehab if you finance the deal, and then we'll split the deal 50-50, for example. Then I'll look at the numbers and say, okay, I'll finance the deal. But if you mess up and you don't get it done by this point in time, then I'm taking over, and the deal is off. It's going to be my deal. So you're going to have to get everything done according to plan, or else. So, there's different creative ways you can find investors like that, and they can bring the money to the table. But you better know how to, like I said earlier in this live stream, the number one thing you need to know how to do is evaluate a deal and know a good deal when you see one, and know how to run the numbers on a deal. And that's like the meat and the heart of my course, is showing you in my online course how to evaluate a deal. I got spreadsheets for evaluating flips. I got a spreadsheet for evaluating rentals, and you plug numbers in there, you can see if something's a good deal or not. So that's what you need to know how to do. And if anybody is interested in my course, I'm gonna put the link here just in case. That'll give you a discount for being a subscriber. Invest. It's willmotivation.com/invest. All right, so let me go to the next question. Drink some grape juice. How do you figure out what price to flip a home at? It's a good question. Floyd Henderson said, how do you figure out a good price to flip a home? The market will tell you. All right, so let's say you buy a home in a neighborhood. I'm gonna turn this music all the way off. All right, let's say you buy a home in a neighborhood, or you're looking at houses in a neighborhood, and the average house in that neighborhood is $150,000, for example. And you see a house in that neighborhood that you want to buy that's $100,000. All right. So you're like, man, if I buy this $100,000 house, and the average house in that neighborhood is $150,000, and this house has the same average number of bedrooms and bathrooms and space, like square footage, as the average house in that neighborhood that goes for $150K. If I buy this house for $100K, then I stand to make a profit. After I pay for my rehab and all my expenses, maybe I might make 20 grand, for example, right? Now, what you're doing in that scenario to figure out how much you're going to charge for your flip is you're looking at the average cost or sales price of homes in that neighborhood. So that's how you do it, man. You can use sites like You can just, like Zillow.com or Realtor.com to look at, prices of homes that have sold recently and like the square footage, the number of bedrooms and bathrooms, and the condition of the houses, and then the price that they sold for it. And that will tell you kind of like what the market is willing to pay for that size of a house in that neighborhood. And that's kind of how you can determine what you more or less can get if you do a flip. Now, the thing that for me is I look at that number, but then I'm always my goal is always to make a house the nicest for the size of the house and for the neighborhood. I want it to be the nicest in that neighborhood for sale. That way, what my strategy is going to be is I can charge more, thousands of dollars more than the next best selling house in that neighborhood, because I know from experience that it just takes one person who has this decision making power to fall in love with the house and then buy the house. All right. So that's been my strategy, and that's how you figure out more or less how to price a house. Now, you can also use professionals. Like I use a realtor when I'm selling a house and when I'm buying a house. And the realtor will a lot of times run comparable, houses, what they call comps, and tell you more or less what you can sell a house for. So the realtor can help you with that as well if you got a good realtor. All right, let's see. Next question here. Comps and appraisals. Yes. Comps are other houses, like comparable houses to what your house is. And appraisal is what you get on your house to tell you what they think the value of your house is based on those comparables, those comps. So an appraisal is usually based on comps. AB CEO SNA Carrier Service. What's up, bro? All right. Yeah, yo, G35. Yeah, rentals I think could be good in that area, man. Only thing is you just got to be careful with Columbus right now. Everything is kind of high. So try to get a good deal. Don't just buy like retail prices. Try to find good deals. Like, and that goes to everybody everywhere. Like try to find the best deal you can when you buy the house so that if you have to sell it, you don't take a loss. All right. All right, let me look for the next question in here. We got 29 people in here in the live stream. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is my first live stream on Real Estate 101. Thank you guys for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm just giving free real estate investment advice. I do have an online course, but it's not mandatory that you take it. It's just for those people that really want to jump in and learn in an organized format basically everything that I've learned over the years on how to invest in real estate and make millions towards my net worth investing in real estate. All right. So I'm happy to share my personal story as much as you guys are interested in that. Just ask me questions. All right. So what's up, Terrence Johnson from South Florida, North Miami Beach. My dad is from North Miami up there in Miami. All right. So Kevin Thomas asked a question. He said, if you have a person in your rental, should you wait until the lease is up before you remodel the kitchen? You got to work that out with your tenant. I probably would wait until they were out of the house, because if they get hurt or anything while you're doing the rehab, it could be a nightmare, right? So I would rather have somebody out of the house while I'm doing the rehab or remodeling. I've heard of people doing it with tenants in their property, but it just seems risky to me. So that, me personally, I wouldn't do it. I'll wait till I had the property to myself. Just reduces the risk. But I have heard of people doing it without any issues, but it wouldn't be my recommendation. All right, so let's see. Mr. Jules 409, what's up, bro? He said, you think you will ever go multifamily like apartment homes, duplex, triplex, or fourplex? The short answer to your question is yes. I like multifamily homes, you know, that kind of thing. But in my market where I am and where I like to invest, they're not as profitable as single family homes. They're not, number one, they're not as profitable. Number two, they're not as flexible. If you need to sell, then usually the people who are buying those multifamily units are who? Like, think about it. If you buy a multifamily home, if you need to sell that house for whatever reason, who's going to be trying to buy that house? An investor, not a retail person. So if an investor is trying to buy your house, what do investors want if they're smart? All good investors want good deals, which means they want to pay as little as possible for your property, as opposed to if you have a single family home and you need to sell that, then you could get somebody to fall in love with that home from a retail perspective that's not an investor, and they just want to live in a super nice home, and they're willing to pay top dollar for it and forget the rest. Whereas an investor, if they're smart, they're not trying to do that. Like, an investor's trying to maximize and get the deal at the lowest amount possible. So so that's something you got to think about with multifamily, and something that I noticed for me, because I like to have flexibility. I like to be able to, if I need to sell a house for whatever reason, I like to be able to know that I can do that. So I like to buy houses where I know I can sell them quickly. The other thing is my market, there's not as many multifamily homes for sale. They usually don't come up like in the MLS a lot, and there's just not a lot of availability and a whole lot of buyer interest compared to single family homes. So that's the reason why I haven't done a lot of it. But I have no problem with it. I would, if it's a good deal, it's a good deal. If I saw one um, that looked good, I'd try to buy it, you know, and keep it for the long term. I wouldn't be trying to do flips with multifamily, though, me personally. All right, so next question. Kevin Thomas, how do you feel about real estate investment trust as an investment over real estate? So for those of you that don't know what a real estate investment trust is, it's basically like an organization or a business will create an investment trust where they go out and handle the technicalities of the real estate investments, like buying properties. And then they can take your money into that trust, and you trust them to go invest it in real estate. Okay. So that's what's called a real estate investment trust. And then they pay you out like monthly dividends, which would be like monthly income from the rental property income. Or if they sell the property, you might get your money back, and that kind of thing. So that's what like real estate investment trusts are. I don't have a whole lot of experience investing in real estate investment trusts. I have considered it and I have looked at it. But compared to real estate, the thing about a real estate investment trust, somebody else is making the decisions, not you. So that's number one. Number two, they'll give you dividends and a return on your investment. So you get money back. Like, let's say you put 100,000 in, and let's say you get a 7% return on that. So at the end of you put 100,000 in, you get $7,000 back. And when they sell the property, they might, like, you got to look and see what you would get from a sale. Like, what percentage of the profit would you get from a sale? Because some of them that I've seen, they'll give you your 7% return, but then when they sell the properties and stuff, they give you your 100 grand back without any return from what they made on the sale of the property. So for me, I like to make money on not only on the rental income, but I also like to make money on when they sell it. Okay, so like if they sell it, if I bought a house for 100,000 and it's worth 200,000 in 5 years, I want to make a percentage of that profit. In a real estate investment trust, they might not give you a guaranteed percent on whatever they make at the end when they sell it and give you your money back. You might just make 7% off that rental income or whatever it might be. So you just got to look at what that trust says and what the rules are. And I don't know, man, I got trust issues. So I like to do stuff myself. So I haven't done that yet. So I can't tell you what my experience has been, but I've been looking at it and considering it in the future. But I like my money to work as hard as it can. And I want to be greedy with my return on investment. And I suggest everybody else be greedy on their return on investment as well when you start investing in real estate. All right. What's up, Mo from New York, man? What's up? What's up to everybody else that has joined us on this live stream? Thank you. Hopefully, I'm answering some of your questions. If you got questions, ask them. I'm gonna try to run through this next set of questions as quick as I can and let you guys enjoy your Easter. But I figured it was time for me to do a live stream on Real Estate 101 and get ready to let you guys know I got a bunch of videos lined up to come. A lot of the videos I've done from the past, but they just weren't organized. So I'm gonna organize them and start posting them on this channel. And then I got a lot more, I got everything from, going into rental properties and fixing a toilet, from going and sitting down with a title company and showing you guys, why you should pick a good title company and that kind of thing. So it's like everything across the board. And of course, I have a real estate investment course, willmotivation.com/invest, that you can take at any point in time. And I'm here for you. All right. So let me answer the rest of these questions we got here. And if you got questions, make sure you ask them. Kelvin P 123, what's up? Said I'm about to get my real estate license, and if that goes well, I would want to use that as a foundation to help me with investment properties. Do you think having a license has its benefits? Yeah, 100%. I don't have a real estate license like to be an agent, but if I did, it would only help me, because the more knowledge you have, the more effective and efficient you can be doing as an investor yourself. Okay, so I think it could only help you, and it gives you more options because you could represent other people. You just have some more flexibility in different ways to make money. All right. So yeah, the short answer to your question is having a real estate license, yes, could probably definitely help you because it's knowledge, and knowledge is king. All right. But it's not necessary to have that knowledge. All right. Or it's not necessary for you to have a license to invest in real estate, but you want to have as much knowledge as possible when investing. So Action said, any advice on picking an investor-friendly realtor? Man, my thing is, the way I evaluate realtors is how much or how hard they hustle. So how fast they will show you a house. Like, let's say you find a house and you're like, I'm interested in looking at this house and possibly buying this house. So I'm looking to see, the way I evaluate a good realtor is how fast they jump on the opportunity to show me that house. That's like one of the number one things I like about my realtor, Rich, is that he will jump up to show me a house whenever I'm ready. And that's king for me because time is crucial. Like, if you wait 3 days to see a house, it could be gone. A realtor needs to be able to show you the house immediately so you can make a decision on it. So you want to find a realtor that's ready to hustle. The other thing is you want to find realtors that are good for investors, that will present deals to you and have experience working with other investors. So you can ask them flat out, do you work with other investors, and do you send investors deals to consider? And how often do you do that? And what does it look like? Put me on the list, because they should have no problem putting you on the list of investors that they send deals to. But one thing I have noticed though is some realtors that work with investors will only work with us like a small handful of investors, because those investors, when they find a good deal, it only takes a handful for them to want to buy all the properties they present. So some of the good realtors, they have a short list, and that's who they go to first to present their deals. So you might have to find somebody that's new or is really, really hustling in order, that's going to work with an investor. All right. All right. So New York KMO, NYK Mo. All right. What's your opinion on loopnet.com to find commercial? I've been on loopnet.com, but I have not used it to find commercial. I was looking around because I do own some commercial real estate, and I wanted to get a price on my real estate. And but I can't give you a good idea because I haven't had any success with it yet or too much experience with it yet. So I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. I would just say go ahead and try it out, man, and see if it can tell you, if it can give you a good snap. Compare it to sites like Zillow and Realtor.com and all the information they give you on residential real estate. If Loop.net can give you that same level of information on commercial, then you're probably in good shape. So what I'll do is I'll check out Loop.net and see what I think about it. And if it's good, I'll make a video about it. All right. Flooring professional said, where can I look online? Like to find properties, man, you can look on Zillow.com, you can look on Realtor.com, and if you get a real estate agent, they can give you access to the MLS through them. Usually they'll have a website and they'll send you properties to your email and all that. So you might get a realtor, tell them you're looking for investments, tell them where you're looking and your price range, and a lot of times they'll send you those deals. But I like to look on Zillow.com and Realtor.com to find real estate because it's pretty easy. All right. Daily Driven H2 said, when I was doing remodeling, I would never touch a house with tenants in the house at all. Yeah, I mean, there you go. There you go. Better safe than sorry because there's risks. Mr. Jules 409 said, let's get a freestyle. I'll freestyle before we close this up. Jay Brown, what's up, man? Happy Easter, bro. Kelvin P123, what are the top 3 things you personally look for in an area when you are looking for an investment property? Top 3 things. That's a good question. He said, Kelvin P123 said, top three things that I look for when I'm looking for an investment property. All right. Number 1 thing is, can I afford it? So the price of the house, because if it's not even in my price range or like what I can afford or what I can get a loan for, then I don't even know why I'm talking about it unless I'm trying to get the money from somebody else. And usually I'm not doing that. All right. So the price range of the house, like what's the price? Number 2, the location. And the reason why I'm looking at the location is I'm trying to figure out if it's going to be risky or not. Can I buy a house in that neighborhood? And if something happens with me financially and I need to sell the house, can I easily sell the house in that neighborhood? Are people looking to buy houses to live in that neighborhood? That's what I'm looking at next, the location. Or, okay, that's like a flip scenario. But also I want to know if, like, let's say I did want to flip it, but let's say I wasn't going to make that much money on it. What does the rent scenario look like? Can I rent a house out for a profit in that same neighborhood with that same size house? That's the number 2 thing I'm looking for is how does it, like, what does it look like for that particular house in that particular neighborhood if I rent it out or if I flip it, right? So that's number 2. So the price range is number 1. What I can do with the house in a flip or a rental scenario and how much money I can make, that's number 2. So evaluating the deal is number 2. And I would say the number 3 thing is the reality of being able to get the house in the current market, because sometimes, man, like the market reason why I haven't been doing a whole lot of deals lately where I am is because I don't want to overpay for real estate, and the market is so hot right now. You need some insider information to find good deals, because the average deal like that you might find on Zillow or someplace else, there's going to be too much interest. And if there's too much interest, then it raises the price of the house to the point where you're paying retail prices instead of investor prices. And investor price is usually like 20% less than what retail is. Like, so like what I mean by retail is if the average house is going for 150, let's say $200,000, the average price, that's retail. I'm not trying to pay $200,000 for that house. I'm trying to pay 20% of that, or like 160 or 170,000 max, because I need some room to be able to put money into the house to make it better, so that I can flip it or I can rent it for high profit. All right. So that's what I'm usually looking at when I'm evaluating the houses. But you got to be able to look at the comparables houses, like what similar houses in that area, in that neighborhood sell for, like what kind of activity is going on, and then how much money can you make if you rent it, and how much money can you make if you flip it realistically. And the other thing that I'm gonna say that you don't want to underestimate is what's the trajectory of that neighborhood, right? So it goes along with the location, and that is some neighborhoods are on the rise. Like more people are trying to move in there, and the cost is going up, and the prices of the houses going up. They might even be building more houses out there, and it's growing. That's what you want. Other neighborhoods, they might be on a decline. And now, sometimes on a decline though, you can catch some deals and then get some rental properties in an area that might be declining, but it's still risky because if you need to sell for whatever reason, you need the cash or whatever, you might be in a bad position. So I don't recommend that for like amateur investors or novice investors, like as a first deal. All right, so those are my top three things, bro. Gateway Hustler said, "Have I ever used roofstock.com?" No, I have not, but it sounds interesting. I'll check it out. Dante Cam said, "Do you do drive for dollars?" I may have. It sounds familiar. Um, Kevin Thomas said, "Would you refinance a home in a down market to bring in more passive income?" Would I refinance a home in a down market? I've done that before. But I wouldn't be doing it to bring in more passive income. Like if I'm refinancing a home, I'm usually doing that to pull money out to buy more property because the market is down, which means the property is cheap. So let me get some money and acquire more property and get control of more property while the market is down. Then when it goes back up, I'm all good. Like, and that happened. Like I pulled money out of some properties that I had and I bought more property. And then the market went back up and I flipped some of the houses and then I paid off all the mortgages and stuff. So like all the properties that I have left right now, almost all of them are paid off because of the flips that I did. So like when I bought the houses, I bought them for cheap and I fixed them up. I put all my personal money into fixing them up, and then I rented them out. And then as the market started getting better and better and better, I started flipping them. And then when I started flipping them, I made so much money on the flips that I was paying off, mortgages, so that I barely have any mortgages left on the 20 or so properties that I still have. And the most properties I think I had was probably 35, and I probably sold 15, 20 of them. All right. What's up, James? He said, "Bring Leroy out the basement." Where's Leroy? Hey, I'm gonna bring Leroy back. Leroy, man, Leroy tried to steal my Lambo. Can you believe that? I got video. I got like security surveillance video in my garage of Leroy trying to steal my Lamborghini. He called himself borrowing it, but that's not what That's not what the police said. So we're gonna have to get Leroy out. He's in hiding right now, but he's coming back. So somebody said, do when I pull money out, do I use a HELOC or HELOC method, home equity line of credit? That's my preferred way of doing it now, yes. But when the market was really down, a lot of banks weren't doing HELOCs or home equity lines of credit. A lot of banks was just like, no, we're not doing that right now. We'll do a regular mortgage secured to a property. But a home equity line of credit, they weren't doing it. But as the market started getting better and the banks started lending more and more money again, they started doing home equity lines of credit. So basically what that is they'll give you, like, I have 2 or 3 home equity lines of credit right now I think I have 2 of them on 2 different properties, and both of them are like 100. One of them's like 125 and one of them's like 100,000. So basically what that means is if you don't need the money, you don't have to make a payment. And if you got zero balance, you don't have to make a payment. But if you need the money to buy another house or whatever, you can just use a check and you can write it against that credit, that line of credit that you have that's secured by that house. And you could buy whatever you got to buy and you start paying off that line of credit. So I do like that because when it's paid down to zero, if it was a regular mortgage that you pay down to zero, once it's paid down to zero, you don't have any more credit and you don't have any more debt. With a home equity line of credit, when it's paid down to zero, you don't have to pay a monthly payment, but you still have access to that line of credit, which can be very useful because you might even have, like, I got two of them worth 225,000, right? So if I found a house that I wanted to flip that was 100 grand, I could use my line of credit to buy a house completely, use the line of credit to finance the rehab. And let's say I bought it for 100 grand, I put 25,000 into it all through my line of credit, and then I sell that house for 200,000 or whatever. Let's say I make 25 grand. I pay when I get my money back from selling the house, like doing a flip, then I pay off my lines of credit, and then I got the profit left over sitting in my bank account. So yeah, I do like home equity lines of credit. But the only thing about that you got to understand about a home equity line of credit compared to a regular mortgage is the interest rate is usually higher, and also it's usually a variable interest rate. So that means it could go up or it could go down, which is dangerous if you got a big balance. If you got 100,000 plus balance and the interest rate shoots up from 5% to 8%, then how much you're paying out in interest every month or every year could be significantly more. That's what you got to be careful of. All right. Kelvin P123 says it better to do a month-to-month rent or have a lease contract for 6 to 12 months. Also, does the area you invest in determine whether you rent or lease? Renting and leasing is considered like the same thing. A lease is usually a contract, right? I don't know if you mean by rent, do you mean month to month? But it's usually interchangeable here. Like if you're renting or leasing, it's like the same thing. But is it better to do a month to month or have a lease contract, 6 to 12? I like to do a lease contract because I want, if I'm going to give them a good price on the month to month, on the like what they have to pay every month, then I need to know you're going to be there at least a certain amount of time, and you have to give me that commitment. Because if I'm doing month to month and people are moving out and moving in, you got a time period between people moving in and out where you're not making any money, and so that's dangerous. So usually I'm doing 12-month leases. The only time I do month to month out the gate is if it's a friend or a family member that just needs a house for a short period of time, or if it's like an Airbnb furnished rental, then I might do month to month like that, or short term. Other than that, I'm doing 6 to 12 months. Now, after somebody stays in my property for that 12-month period, then I will give them a month to month after that with no problem. That's no problem, because especially if they're a good tenant, I have no problem doing that. Yo, no problem, man. Kevin. Luna Park said, how do I get a home equity line of credit? That's easy. You just talk to, if you already have a mortgage on the home, you can talk to that same bank and ask them to get a home equity line of credit. If you don't have a mortgage, or that bank that you do have a mortgage with doesn't want to give you a home equity line of credit, you just talk to another bank. But the key to getting a home equity line of credit is that when the bank does the appraisal on your house to see how much your house is worth, you got to have a good amount of equity in the house for them to even risk giving you a loan against that equity. So for example, let's say you have a house that's worth 200 grand and you got a mortgage on that house that's 100,000. Your equity would be the value of the home minus what you owe on it, which is your mortgage. So your 200,000 minus 100,000 leaves $100,000 in equity. So that's plenty enough for another bank to loan you the money against that equity. So you got to have some equity. But if you got like $10,000 worth of equity in your house, that's not usually going to be enough for a bank to want to loan you anything significant. Like they may give you $1,000, but that might be it against that equity, because the risk is that the value of the market in the home could go up and down while you're paying off that loan, and they don't want to put themselves in too much of a risky position if the value of the house drops, and then like you got negative equity, but you still owe them, and then what can they really pull out of the house if you had to sell it? That's the risk. So, but you just talk to different banks, man. There's different banks that will give you home equity lines of credit. You can look them up online and find out who's giving them out. But you have to go through an appraisal process for your house and an application process, and they're gonna have to check your credit and all that good stuff. All right. Is it better to do a 2 to 3 month segments to get a good price? Invader G Rider 01. I'm not sure I understand your question. Is it better to do 2 3 month segments to get a good price on? You talking about to give a good price to a rental? You gotta clarify your question. Tyree Dominique said thoughts on renting out individual bedrooms versus renting out the entire house. If I was a college student and I owned a house and I was living in the house, I would consider renting out the bedrooms in my house to make money, right? But if I was a landlord and I didn't live in the house and I was going to have multiple people renting out different bedrooms in the house, I don't know if I would be getting into that, because you're going to have to deal with, if you don't live there and there's people like living with each other and stuff, you might have to deal with their issues living together. And I don't know if you're up for that. Like some people probably on like college campuses, they probably can make that work. But I don't have any experience doing that, and it would be something I kind of like would stay away from a little bit. But if you live in a college town and you can get cheap property on college campus, you can get them students to rent it, then you could probably figure out a way to make it work. So, but it's just something that it's something that I haven't done, and I don't know if I would be wanting to deal with people living together and bringing me their problems. Invader G Rider said, "Why should I get a home equity line of credit? If you need the line of credit to reinvest into something else that will make you money, that's why you would want a line of credit. And or if the interest rate on that line of credit is lower than the interest rate on something else that you would buy. Like for example, I use my line of credit sometimes to buy cars, because if I borrow money to buy a car, the interest rate sometimes will be higher than the interest on my line of credit that I have with my house. So like I use my line of credit to buy cars and stuff, knowing that I'm gonna drive the car for a while and I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna get the money back from selling it, and I'm gonna pay off that line of credit again. But it's just interest rates, or just using the money. Like initially, what I was using my line of credit for was to buy other houses and buy more real estate, and then flip that real estate or whatever, and then pay off that line of credit. So it just depends on what I wouldn't recommend getting a line of credit to buy something that's not an asset that you can later sell so that you can pay that line of credit off. I wouldn't recommend it for like stuff where you're going to get a big balance that you got to pay off and you don't have an asset that's giving you a return on that investment. All right. So Invader G Rider said, to give a rental, is it better to do 2 3 month segments? It's best to do a long-term rental scenario, like 6 to 12 months. I do 12 months. I don't do 6 months. It's the longer you have the lease agreement, you're guaranteeing, or you're trying to guarantee that you're going to get, 12 months of rental income coming in before you have a break where you're not getting any money. Because if they move out, you got to clean the place up and fix it up and get ready for the next person. So you might have a month where you're not making any money, but you still got to pay your mortgage and pay your taxes or whatever. So you want to minimize those months where you're not making rental income. So the way you minimize that is you get people in there for longer periods of time. So you don't want to do too many short term unless you got like a furnished rental or something like that. Gone Postal 28 said I had a friend visiting. He did Airbnb on a room from a woman. He said it was awkward. I believe that, man. Airbnb, like renting out one room at a time. Um, all right, man. So, like, before we shut this down, man, happy Easter to everybody. If you want to take my online course, man, I built the course teaching everybody everything I know. And I don't want to cheat anybody who really is serious about investing in real estate. If you want to take my online course, it's fully supported by me as the teacher. And if you want to take it, it's discounted. It's $297, and you get access to it forever. Here's the link to the course, willmotivation.com/invest. That's the link to my course, man. But I also like to get on here and just answer questions for free to people that ask me to mentor them. This is how I do it because I can't do it like whenever people want want me to just answer their questions all day long or whatever. I have to make a time like this, and then I can try to do that. Okay. So if you're interested, there's the online course. If you take the course, everybody that's taking the course right now will tell you if you ask a question, I answer it usually pretty quick. And yeah, so Dante said, do I ever use my property for Airbnb? I have one property that I set up as an Airbnb, and it was very, very profitable. And I was very, like, it was good. I have done that with one property. And so would I do it again? Yes. And am I planning to do it again? I'm looking at some property in Florida. If I get something in Colombia or Florida, it's going to be like an Airbnb because I want to use it myself. And then I'll rent it out as an Airbnb as well. And I'm gonna have my stuff like expensive. My stuff's not. I'm not doing the cheap stuff. Like when I do Airbnb, it's gonna be like high end, expensive. Like when you go to my property, you want to stay at a super nice place, and you're gonna pay top dollar, and it's not gonna be the cheap one. Like for those people that's trying to pay something cheaper than a hotel but have a full house, that's not gonna be mine. Mine is gonna be you want to go to Florida, you want to stay in a dope condo that's like an experience that you could take pictures and remember. That's what my stuff is gonna be like. So because I want those people that are not afraid to pay extra to get something nice. And there's lots of people like that in this country that you can rent to. So believe that like it's a good strategy. It's worked out. My brother's keeper said, "Hey Will, is it better to do rentals as unfinished or furnished? Unfurnished or furnished? Is it better? Like most people do unfurnished because it's easier. Furnished though can be more profitable in my experience, but I only had one property where I did furnished, and it was a lot more profitable than unfurnished. That's been my experience, but I only had one, so I can't tell you like all of them are going to end up that same way. So you got to look at your demand in your market. If there's a demand for furnished rentals, then maybe you could do well. If there's no demand for furnished rentals, you might not do well. So you might be taking a risk or whatever, but it just depends on your market. Like if there's it's a big city, you got a lot of different types of people that have needs, you could probably do either very well. But if it's like a small city with not a lot of tourism or a lot of people coming there to work and do stuff, then you might not want to do the furnished thing. Look at this Invader G Rider. Just got done asking me questions. I give him answers to the questions, and then he says I'm a scammer. Really? All right. That's the thanks that I get for this dude. You're welcome, bro. That's crazy. What am I scamming people on? Like, I'm not making anybody do anything. All right. So somebody says that, am I sure that's grape juice? Yeah. Let's see. What do you think? That's grape juice on Easter. All right, man. So y'all have a good Easter evening. Appreciate you guys joining the live stream. I'm about to go relax. and enjoy the rest of my Sunday evening. I hope you guys do the same. If you got questions, stay tuned to the channel. Ask me your questions as they come up on my different videos if you can. I'm gonna put as much knowledge as I can on this channel. And like I said, if you want to take the course, happy for you to join us on the course. I did it for you guys. And if not, no worries. I'm gonna keep dropping videos on this channel. All right. That's what I do. So I hope you guys, like I said, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Oh, I told you guys I was going to tell you guys a secret. So for the 30 of you guys that are still on here, the secret is, let me see who's on here, man. Let me see. I'll make sure I don't got no haters on here. The secret is on Will Motivation channel, right, where I do a lot of my car content. I have 2 channel cars coming. A lot of you guys know I was looking at getting a GT500. I'm not going to get a GT500. I'm going to get a Mustang GT, and I'm going to make it a project car. Actually, I already have the car. The other thing is I got a GT3 Porsche 911, and that's coming to the channel. It's on its way. It'll be here probably by the end of the week, but I might not release it on the channel for another month or 2 just for timing purposes and just stuff I got going on. But that's definitely coming to the channel, and it's on its way here. It's dope. It's a dope spec. Daily Driven H2 has seen it, and yeah, it's GT3 Porsche 911 is coming, and I'm still keeping the Huracan, but I did sell the Gallardo to clear up some debt and all that stuff, and then I grabbed the 911. So somebody said they want to see me freestyle. Long time ago, I used to be a rapper for fun, right? I just used to do it for fun. Nowadays, I haven't rapped in a long time, man, but I can freestyle here and there. So I'll give you one. So this is the tourist in continuum. Kids, I burn them, bend them, backspin them. They at minimum wage, back sending them page. Casualties, mathematically, tactically, sporadically wax MCs. Get back with me. Suddenly, one of these dumb MCs come to me grudgingly talking about stop gunning me. But I'm the entity sent from the epitome of what people ascend to be. Coincidentally, give a pin to me. You and your friends will see. Essentially, I cause men to bleed menstrually. So get with me. When you're fat, lyrically, not physically. You and plenty of these MCs pretend to be comprehending me. But adrenaline and me be sending enemies to chemistry because I'm able to render these raps from random access memory. What?